A bunch of Washington insiders did a proxy attack on Bernie Sanders for Hillary Clinton. They attacked him on the issue of foreign policy. So the signatories to the letter include Daniel Benjamin, who's the former U.S. Ambassador at Large and Coordinator for Counterterrorism at the State Department, Ambassador Wendy R. Sherman, the former Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, and retired Lieutenant General Donald Kerrick, a former Deputy National Security Advisor to the President. Now, don't feel bad, because even the biggest political junkies, including myself, didn't know who the fuck these people were until today. And why would we? They're never discussed. And what we know is they were in charge of foreign policy, so they can't be that bright, because look at where we are right now. But nonetheless, this has now become a Hillary Clinton 101 trick. You bring out establishment shills to say you're the best and Bernie sucks. Shocker, somebody in the establishment thinks Hillary's better than Bernie, who's profoundly anti-establishment. Wow, I'm very surprised. And I also like how she's just been bragging about the most pathetic endorsements ever. Fucking Leon Panetta endorsed her and she was touting it on Twitter. Who cares? Nobody, not a single person went, well, I was on the fence before, but Leon Panetta. You know what I'm saying? Leon Panetta. Nobody cares. So this is all part of Hillary being an elitist that bothers me to no end. So let me give you what they say here. They wrote a letter about Bernie Sanders, or to Bernie Sanders. They say the following, quote, "Over the past 4 debates, the subject of ISIS and Iran have come up a number of times. These are complex and challenging times, and we need a commander-in-chief who knows how to protect America and our allies and advance our interests." Always a curious line when they slip in. And advance our interests. What do you mean by that? So your foreign policy is not just about protecting us, it's about advancing our interests. Care to go into details? Does it have to do with corporations? Does it have to do with the military-industrial complex? No. Okay, you digress, of course. They say, and values around the world. The stakes are high, and we are concerned that Senator Sanders has not thought through these crucial national security issues that can have profound consequences for our security. His lack of a strategy for defeating ISIS, one of the greatest challenges we face today, is troubling, and the limited things he has said on ISIS are also troubling. For example, his call for more Iranian troops in Syria is dangerous and misguided and the opposite of what is needed. Supporting Iranian soldiers on Israel's doorstep is a grave mistake. All right, let's pause here. This shows you right here how Bernie Sanders is actually connected to reality, and he understands the theological differences and geopolitical differences that are at play here, whereas the establishment assholes are going by the old-school Cold War playbook, okay? So they're the ones who are disconnected as they say that Bernie Sanders is disconnected. Now, why is Bernie right and why are they wrong? Well, Bernie's saying, let's get serious. Of course, there are other Sunnis who can fight ISIS and jihadists in the region. The Kurds, for example, moderate Sunni faction, they're going to fight, no problem. But you're going to need Shia militias and Shia fighters and Iranian fighters to defeat ISIS, because ISIS is Salafi jihadist. They're fundamentalist Sunnis. You're going to need the Shias to fight them because other fundamentalist Sunnis are not going to be so hot on fighting them. You want to know how we know that? We fucking tried already with the other Sunnis. It didn't work out well. Save the Kurds, who are doing the right thing and have always done the right thing. It's not like you have Saudi Arabia so willing to combat jihadists. No, on the contrary, they fund jihadists the world over. Are you kidding me? It's not like Turkey has been, we can't wait to jump in and fight ISIS. In fact, it's the opposite. You have Erdogan who's buying their oil. So this idea of don't entertain Bernie's idea of having Shias fight the Sunnis. That's a stupid idea. You, of course, need the Shias to fight the Sunnis. And the idea that we're going to create a mythical moderate Sunni faction is just that. It's mythical. It's not true. We tried to do that. Obama tried to do that. And we got literally less than 5 fighters. And the people who we did train, what did they do? The second they got into Syria, they handed over all of their weapons to al-Nusra. Al-Nusra, for those of you who don't know, that's al-qaeda in Syria. So our moderates who we trained are like, al-Qaeda? Those are my boys. Quite literally. There was a top rebel fighter who died recently. Endless quotes about how he praised Osama bin Laden, he called al-Qaeda his brothers, and we praised this guy as a moderate faction in Syria. So Hillary Clinton's high-minded foreign policy and the establishment's high-minded foreign policy is, let's continue to flirt with and help and sometimes arm Islamists and jihadists to try to fight ISIS and fight Assad. That's stupid! That's stupid! Or we could stay out, in some cases give humanitarian aid and sometimes weapons to people like the Kurds. But by and large, you're going to need other Muslims to continue to fight ISIS, and you're going to need to have the Shias fight ISIS. It's their fight. It's not our fight. So he's right and they're wrong, and they're smugly dismissing him like, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand what? He understands it perfectly. You don't understand what's going on here. Okay, they say, Senator Sanders' call to move aggressively to normalize relations with Iran, to develop a warm relationship, breaks with President Obama, is out of step with the sober and responsible diplomatic approach that has been working for the United States, and if pursued, would fail while causing consternation among our allies and partners. Okay, that's like 8 layers of bullshit deep. Bernie does not say, hey, let's pretend like we've never had any problems and let's open up an embassy there. In fact, he was asked that question in the debate. He said, no, I wouldn't open up an embassy and I would proceed with caution. But yeah, I would try to normalize relations with them. That's only the most moderate, reasonable thing I've ever heard. And that's only exactly what even Obama and Kerry are trying to do. But Hillary Clinton can't help herself. She can't help herself. She's like, I'm to the right of Bernie. I'm to the right of him. Now vote for me, Democratic base. Why would we vote for you if you're advertising and bragging about... yeah, look at this guy, wants to eventually normalize relations with Iran. What an idiot. Except, why would we not want to do that? You know, I'm in favor of this thing, peace and prosperity. I'm in favor of trying to mend fences wherever possible and wherever the relationship is redeemable. And the best way to spread liberalism and democracy is by infiltrating culturally, not at the barrel of a gun, like I know a lot of neocons and Hillary like to do, but by, hey, here's our entertainment, here's TV, here's the internet, here's, you know, what we do, what we believe in, and eventually I think we'll win on that front, because I think, honestly, on that front, our ideas are better than closed-off theocracies. So, but Bernie's calling for the most reasonable thing imaginable, and they're like, he wants to normalize relations. What a dick. What could possibly be wrong with that? And also, at the end, they kind of hint exactly why it is they really say that. They're like, I mean, come on, guys, Netanyahu's up my ass here because we're not threatening to attack Iran anymore. You know, Saudi Arabia fucking is angry at us because we're not only sucking off them, and now we're starting to move closer to normalizing relations with Iran. The crybabies and the bullies in the region, Saudi Arabia and Israel, are upset, so obviously acquiesce to the crybabies and do exactly what they want. Or not, because those guys are fucking warmongers. How about that? So why would we do that? Now, look, I'm not trying to be buddy-buddy with anybody particularly. I would like to have a more neutral relationship with everybody in the region, because mostly I think their shit is their shit. It's got nothing to do with us. But this idea that it's, you know, something that you scoff at to normalize relations with Iran, only good can come out of that. As long as you put Saudi and Israel in their place, as you should, and you say, sit down and shut the fuck up, okay? Well, then only good can come out of it, because we're de-escalating a situation that before could have been bad for everybody. And finally, they say, and this is the most telling, we need a commander-in-chief who sees how all of these dynamics fit together. Someone who sees the whole chessboard as Hillary Clinton does. Oh, I see. So what she's doing here, and what these establishment shills are doing here, they're admitting that, well, you vote for Hillary because on foreign policy, she sees the world as a chessboard. Bernie, he doesn't see it like that. You know, he's a crazy guy who only wants to use military force to defend the nation from imminent attack. What an asshole. Whereas Hillary, she sees the world as a chessboard, and she would totally deploy our troops to be pawns in greater battles. Who the fuck wants that? You think a single mother in Nebraska is like, you know, I can't wait to send my son to die in Damascus to try to take back certain regions in Syria from Assad and ISIS and introduce a third moderate rebel faction. They don't give a fuck! They don't give a fuck, okay? But this is how you know. This is the establishment talking to themselves. And this is Hillary failing the same way she did in 2008 all over again. She was talking to herself with her, I'm to the right of Obama, now vote for me, Democratic base. Everybody's like, why the fuck will we vote for you? You're saying conservative things. They're doing the same thing now. The establishment idiots are like, to vote for her, she's more conservative. Why would I do that? I don't want that. But she sees the foreign policy as a chessboard. Yeah, but I don't like that. Why would I like that? And again, just to be perfectly clear, so everybody really knows what that means. What that means is she's going to see the world through this old school Cold War dynamic. So in other words, when it comes to fighting ISIS, she's not going to align with the natural allies against ISIS, namely Syria, Russia, and Iran. She's not going to do that. Instead, she's going to keep trying to create this mythical third force, this moderate Sunni force, which of course would be funded by Saudi and Turkey as they are already, and they'd be Islamist in nature at best, jihadist at worst. So what she's saying is, because I believe in the chessboard theory of American power struggle, imperialist power struggle between the worst evil, Russia and China, arguably, and other people we don't like, Syria and Iran, because I view the world like this, I will not do that which is common sense in terms of fighting the one who we can all agree are bad, which is ISIS. So that's the problem, man. Whereas Bernie, he's much more willing to rethink this whole thing and start from scratch and just try to do what makes sense and try to do what's best for the American people in the long run, as opposed to viewing foreign policy and viewing the world as a chessboard, which will only exacerbate problems and has led to where we are today. I'm not going to sit here as the person who voted for the Iraq War and the Patriot Act and the Afghanistan War, supported Libyan intervention, and still supports intervention in Syria, lectures the other guy as if she's the one who nailed it all along. Hillary, you voted for a fucking war crime. You voted for the war in Iraq. One of the biggest foreign policy disasters in American history. It's an illegal war waged against a country that didn't attack us. And then once we learned all the facts that there were no WMDs, they didn't attack us, they had nothing to do with 9/11, we stayed there and fucking occupied it, and all along, you voted for it and you're sitting there like, well, what am I going to do? American intervention, this is what we got to do. We got to go around and try to police the world, and oh shit, that made everything worse. Let's try it again, or let's not try it again, and your shitty fucking attack about how you're to the right of Bernie, and Bernie's so wrong for only wanting to use American troops to stop against imminent attack, it makes you look like an idiot, not him.